on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is creatorship. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Actually, I'm just checking. Yeah, it's happening. I was just checking to make sure it was happening on Facebook. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's take a minute to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, and bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your molecules, all your electrons, all your cells, and bringing this brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together and softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel the deliciousness of that sensation, the tickling, the tingling, and allow that sensation to bring you present right here, right now, into your remarkable body that is the physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Dido. We're live and I'm seeing comments. So we spent some devoted time to address technical issues, which clearly have now been resolved. So congratulations, and Dido, thank you so much. And Sue for your commitment and dedication, and Terry Angel for working out all the kinks to get things rolling smoothly. So congratulations and much gratitude to you for all your tireless efforts in the face of all kinds of obstacles. So you are so appreciated to be making this whole thing possible. We don't often get a glimpse into what goes on behind the scenes because people are making it happen for us all the time. And we get to really, really show our appreciation for the extra effort that has been put out now while our fearless leader, Dr. Ruth Anderson, is putting her life back together after a fire that decimated her home. So Dido and Sue and Terry have, and among others, have been working really hard to keep things rolling. And I just want to give a shout out and deep appreciation to them for their commitment. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Dido, it's great to have you here this morning. And everybody else who's joining us, thank you so much for being here. If you want your comments to be seen, please go to the Facebook page for Enlightened World Network. Put your comments in there because that's where this is live streaming. And then I will respond to all the comments that I see. So today's topic is creatorship, because I've been gone for a few days. And the reason that I've been gone is because I had a friend in from out of town who is just one of the most remarkable humans I've ever had the privilege to meet. And he is an eco developer, and the intention of our get together over the past several days was to be visioning the eco park or to be moving forward on the project of the eco park, which is a project that gave me my life's calling in 2017 and has been the incitement for so much of what I've been doing since then. It was the inspiration to start the Sustainability Now podcast, which if you haven't checked it out, you can find it on any any platform that you would normally find a podcast, but you can also go to our website at sustainabilitynow.global, and that's .global instead of .com, to check out all the amazing interviews that we've done over the past several years with people from around the world talking about all different kinds of topics that relate to sustainability. So my dear friend Leo was here, and we got to connect with some other awesome people that are going to be part of this Eco Park initiative. And what it got me to thinking is, how do we create something from nothing? And, we were talking about a lot of different things and getting to know each other better. And what made a profound difference for me in terms of feeling like we had really accomplished something substantial was when he suggested, how about if we start drawing it? And he started creating a drawing of it. And, it brings to mind the thought of going to the drawing board. And there is some tremendous power, like we had been writing things down, but there's tremendous power in starting to allow yourself to move into that imaginal space. Now, we talked about this a bit last week based on the book, The Quest of Rose, that I have mentioned and expect to continue mentioning, where we step into the future. And what came up when we were talking about stepping into the future is that all there is now. And we know that all there is now. But in talking, thank you so much. Dido posted a link to Sustainability Now to the About page, which tells about the podcast. But you can find listing of all the different interviews that are there on the site, and they're video interviews, so you can check them out. And some of them have a lot of visuals associated with them from when we did a summit that was really focused more on educational practices and things. Anyway, let me see if I can backtrack to where I was. We were talking about imaginal space in the future. So the future is infinite possibility, really. And my hypothesis, one of my many working hypotheses, is that the future is calling us, or our beingness or source or our essence is calling us to bring certain potentials into fruition. And that has been the case for me with this eco park, is that there was a calling. I can say from the future, I can say from my higher self, I can say from the universe, whatever it is, there was this calling forth that called forth from within me a new place of being and a new possibility, a new potential to bring something into manifestation in the world that doesn't currently exist in that form. And so when I talk about the future, maybe a better way to be talking about those potentials is as potentials that are not yet physically manifest. That they're waiting. They exist, but they need someone to be the vehicle, or people to be the vehicle of bringing it forth on the physical plane. And so when we're talking about creatorship, I think what we're doing is expanding beyond ourselves to tap into this other dimension of awareness, of being, of experience that enables us to conceptualize, conceive of possibilities that are latent in the universe, perhaps. And I'm wondering, by the way, if you guys are making comments and I'm not responding to the comments, please go to the Enlightened World Network Facebook page to make your comments. And then I promise I will respond to the comments that I see coming through Restream, but they're connected to the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. I know I've not been here for a few days, so maybe some folks have stopped showing up at our regular time. But anyway, so this notion of creatorship. There's Tammy. Welcome, Tammy. So good to have you here with us. Thanks for chiming in. Much appreciated. So we're talking, I was going to call this visioning, but creatorship is bringing something forth from nothingness into manifestation, into being. So what does that look like? What's that whole process? I think that part of it is in not enabling ourselves or allowing ourselves access to this vast sea of possibility, to allow ourselves to be susceptible to the calling, to allow ourselves to receive the information that like the universe is calling into being. And Leo and I talked a bunch over the weekend, it wasn't the weekend, it was over the past few days, about the true nature of being, and that it's as we release more and more of our notion of who we are that we become more truly who we are in our essence, and that perhaps is life in its pure form. As awakened masters, perhaps that would be life expressing itself purely through us as vehicles. And so when I think about creatorship, I think that of allowing ourselves access to this imaginal space, which is like the connection with the cosmos, connection with the universe, the flow of life. And it is through that we become a conduit. We become a conduit for these notions, these concepts, these ways of being, and we then become the vehicle of their manifestation in a physical plane. So it's almost like we allow ourselves access to this vast library of information, and a book falls off the shelf or hits us on the head or whatever, and then that becomes our playbook, and we then become the vehicle for that plan to become manifest in the denser realms. And so creatorship, to me, as I'm thinking about it, is connecting with this vision as mission. So I know I've told you this story a bunch of times, but in 2017, I I essentially, in a ceremonial fashion, took ownership of this vision of the eco park as my life's mission. And that has been the underlying current ever since. And moving something from that space of vision into the physical is in some way is high magic, right? But and it's what we as human beings do all the time. You know, we imagine having a particular kind of job, or we imagine having a particular kind of future, and then we take actions that support that manifestation. And whatever our plans are, sometimes the universe has other ideas, and we get redirected and we course correct all along the way. But moving from this notion of vision into manifesting, I think, you know, this started 2017. It's already 5 years ago, which is quite remarkable to me, that so much time has passed. And there's a dance that we do with that liminal space, that space between concept and reality, maybe, that space where something is maturing in its energetic signature, perhaps, to a point where it's time for that thing to become manifest. And so my experience is that things are starting to line up now. Things are starting to connect with opportunities. People are showing up. It feels like there's momentum, like this is the time, like the universe is saying, okay, now we get to start making this thing show up in the physical. And here are the building blocks to do that. Here are the opportunities. And that time of gestation, in that in between, is the place where maybe all the things are coming into alignment, and the pieces are positioning themselves to be able to then fall into place. And so one of the things that was so powerful in this process, like for Leo, as he started to draw, he said that he was imagining being in this space, and he's already a developer, so he's done, you know, he's designed all different kinds of properties, but in this circumstance, he was imagining being in this environment, and you know how much space was between this thing and that thing, and what it felt like to walk through and see the wonders of this place. And he said it was the deepest he had gone into his imagining since he was a kid. And that was so exciting to me to hear. And I think that this is very much how we bring things into being, is by imagining them in an immersive way, where there's the emotion of the experience, where there's the experience of wonder, when there's this sense of rich discovery. So Dido says, I love that it's beginning to really take form. So exciting. It is exciting. It really, truly is exciting. And part of the way that it's taking form is by speaking it. You know, so when we take ownership of a vision, there's a very different presence to that vision when we know it is happening, when we decide this is true, this is happening. The energy of that certainty is very different from the energy of I wish, I hope, I imagine, I would like, versus it's so. And when we're clear that it's so, I don't know whether it's sort of a chicken and egg thing. I don't know if we become clear that it's so when it's ready to be manifest, or if our being clear that it's so is what it takes for it to manifest. I think it's probably like a self-perpetuating magnetic motor, that the one feeds the other, feeds the other, feeds the other. So that could be the case, is that it's a perpetual motion machine. But the thing is that we know when something's done. And so the sense that this is done is much richer and much more solid than it's ever been. And maybe that's part of this recipe, this magic recipe for creatorship, for manifesting something from the ethers, is being in a place of it's done. It's done. And now it's just going through the motions to physicalize it somehow. So I think that this is a really important thing for us to be exploring, to be looking at what is it that it takes to bring something into form. And the truth is that we don't get to bring anything into form before it's time. So as much as I had desired for this to be happening over the past 5 years, it's actually for not even just a bit over 4 years, because it happened in November of 2017. Yeah, so this November it'll be 5 years, but it feels like this is the year where we get land. This is the year where we actually start physicalizing it in a concrete way, so it's been percolating and manifesting in terms of the connections that we've created over the past 5 years, and the relationships and the awareness and the personal growth and transformation. It's all this groundwork, all this preparation, and now to be having it start to come into fruition. What I'm looking at is how do we take our awareness of what this process is of creatorship? How do we take awareness of that into our lives to be creating those things that we dream and desire? And part of it, a huge part of it, is being willing to take ownership of the vision. And the thing is that so many of us have been so dismally disappointed over and over and over again in our lives when we dared to dream about something and our dreams got dashed, that we in many cases have stopped dreaming. And on the other side, the dreams can be very disruptive. So some of us have elected to ignore the dreams because of the cost, the disruption of our status quo, the uncertainty, the unknown, the dismantling of the existing that would have to take place in order to make way for the possible. And I think actually that we're seeing that on a grand scale in our world right now, where we're seeing the destruction and dismantling of so many of our systems, where there's a lot of upheaval going on and a lot of grandstanding and last stand kinds of posturing to try to keep the status quo. And that is falling away. It's falling away for all of us. And the time, destruction precedes creation, you know, or actually maybe is at the same time too. Like as it takes the old falling away for the new to emerge, right? There you have to make room for the new to emerge. And so the process of creation is also a process of letting go, and letting go of the known, of the familiar, of the security, real or imagined, of existing structures, and at least the illusion of predictability, to be stepping into a realm of the unknown, the unpredictable, the unpredictable is the space of possibility, right? Where we can bring forth the previously unimagined even. And maybe we get to harness some of that creative energy by using our imaginations productively. And so this isn't idle, it isn't individuated imagination that I'm talking about when we talk about moving into the future or being informed from the future, or generating something from nothing. What we're talking about is connecting to this cosmic well of intelligence that is calling for the emergence of new possibilities, new solutions, new opportunities, new technologies. They're all there, they all exist. And by tapping into this space of imagination that goes beyond the bounds of our own minds, but is connecting with this universal intelligence, you know, to be creating an open flow of information with that. That's how inventions happen. That's how art happens. That's how music happens. It's by tapping into, we can call it the future, we can call it consciousness, we can call it the universal intelligence, you know, whatever we call it, it can give us purpose and direction and inspiration. That's where inspiration comes from. You know, that's where these moments of genius come from, is by tapping into this imaginal space of something greater than ourselves. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. It's so good to be back with you. We've been talking about creatorship and what does it look like to bring something out of nothing into being, and what is that process, and what does it require of us? What is the future? Good morning, Andrew. Welcome. So good to have you here with us. We've been talking about creatorship and working with our connection to imagination, but imagination, like in the book The Quest of Rose, they're talking about imaginal spaces, and that this space of imagination is not just our own imaginings, but moving into a more expansive relationship with the knowing of the universe itself, you know, to be listening and receiving information that will be creating the future. So to be being informed by the universe, whether we call it the future or we call it consciousness, whatever we call it, calling us forward into manifesting certain new paradigms, new technologies, new knowing, new information. So there's a wonder and an awe for me. Those are like really, really important experiences that I value very, very highly, is the being state of wonder, the being state of being in awe, to combined with curiosity. And there's a through that state, I think that that's kind of a gateway into this imaginal co-creative space, co-creative with the universe, to then receive this inspiration. And from that, we gain clarity and direction and purpose. And, it's somewhat purpose driven, because it becomes a seed within us that has to then grow and express itself, that then starts to flourish and expand. So Rosalind says, I'm not good at designing or interior decorating, but I found spending time in my future wellness room, I'm able to imagine what to do next. Exactly. So you nailed it, Rosalind. What I'm talking about is connecting through this cosmic portal to the space as it wants to be in the future. It's informing us. And I'm using the word future, even though there's only now, we all know this, but I'm using the word future as a way to characterize what is not yet manifest. So exactly. So that room, that wellness room for you, Rosalind, is calling you forth into creating it as it is calling you to make it be. Like it's already existing, and you're being informed from its essential beingness. It's calling you into creating it as it wants to be somehow. So like that's what I'm talking about when I'm addressing imagination. It's not an imagination that's bound by our own constraints. It's an imagination that's tapping into the greater wisdom of the cosmos that then can inform us as to how things can unfold. So as I think about, to bring it back around full circle to the eco park, I have some ideas about the way I want this thing to be, or the way that this thing is presenting itself to me. And I know that it's going to emerge through inspiration and connection, that it has its own voice, that it knows how it wants to be, even though I don't know that yet. And there are pieces, it's like this wonderful puzzle. I know the puzzle's complete, and periodically the pieces present themselves to me so that I get to savor each piece as something new and part of an unfolding puzzle that I have a shimmering image of, but it's not crisp and it's not delineated. It's still emerging, and I think that that's part of creatorship, is that it is a collaboration between ourselves, our own imaginings, and our openness and allowing. It's a collaboration between all of that and the universe that is holding this thing that wants to come forth through us. So it brings us back around to us being a vehicle through which life expresses itself. And anyway, very invigorating stuff to be engaged in this creatorship process, to be blessed with that gift, you know, of that kind of inspiration and that kind of trust. You know, it's like being entrusted. When we open ourselves and we allow ourselves, we are being entrusted with a gift that we then get to bring forth into the world. So Rosalind says, so far there's a massage chair in the corner of the room, and I recently added an altar with a bunch of crystals and gems and tuning forks. Now I'm seeing where people would sit or where their focus would be drawn to in the room. Isn't it fun? It's like, well, it's an unfolding story, right, Rosalind? How fun is that to allow it to tell you what it wants to be, right? And that happens through the way that the information is feeding through, and our willingness to accept that inspiration, to be a vehicle for the expression of it and the experience of it. So, whew, what fun. Anyway, I'm so glad to be back with you. I so appreciate you, the conversation, your contributions, your support. It is very enlivening to me to have this opportunity to connect and to have these chats about all kinds of different things. So welcome back. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. Please check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network on EWN One with the Earth and Enlightened World Living. And until next time, so much love and appreciation to you guys. And I look forward to seeing you again here really soon.